Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on a tool that is an absolute must-have if you're serious about monitoring, the Amazon CloudWatch Agent. If you need to really know what's going on with your servers, whether they're in AWS or your own data center, this is the tool for you. So yeah, let's get right into it.
All right, so think about this for a second. Your apps are running, your EC2 instances show green in the console, everything looks fine, right? But what's actually happening under the hood? You know, the default monitoring you get out of the box, it's fine, it's a start, but honestly, it only scratches the surface. It's like trying to figure out what's causing a traffic jam by only looking at a map of the entire country. You're flying blind when you really need to troubleshoot a problem or optimize performance. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk a bit more about that flying blind problem. Then we'll introduce our secret weapon, the agent. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of setting it up, getting it online, and then we'll wrap up by looking at how it works with modern stuff like Kubernetes.
Okay, so to stop flying blind, we need an inside source, right? We need something actually on the server that can tell us exactly what it's seeing. And that, my friends, is exactly what the CloudWatch Agent is. It's our ticket to going way, way beyond those basic high-level metrics.
So what is this thing? At its core, it's just a piece of software, an agent that you install on your servers. Its whole job is to collect detailed telemetry. And that word, telemetry, is super important. It really means the big three of observability. You've got your metrics, the numbers like CPU usage. You've got your logs, the actual event records from your apps. And you've got traces, which let you follow a single request all the way through your system. It's designed to grab all of that no matter where your code is running. And here's where it gets really powerful. This isn't just about CPU and memory. This thing is a unified, all-in-one tool for those three pillars we just talked about. I mean, it gets you the basic system-level stuff for sure, but it also pulls in custom metrics from your applications using standard protocols like statsd. It can grab logs from literally any file on the server and centralize them. And it even hooks into tracing systems like OpenTelemetry and AWS X-Ray. It is, quite literally, the whole shebang for understanding what your application is doing.
And this right here, this is probably its biggest selling point. It really doesn't care where your server lives. Is it an EC2 instance? Cool. Is it a physical box humming away in your own on-prem data center? No problem. You use the exact same agent everywhere. That means you get one consistent way to monitor everything, your entire hybrid world. It's basically one agent to rule them all.
All right, so before we can start collecting all this amazing data, we do have to do a little bit of prep work. You gotta lay the groundwork first. We're talking about permissions and network setup. Okay, first things first, permissions. The agent has to have permission to actually send data to CloudWatch. Now, how you do this depends on where the server is. If it's an EC2 instance, the best, most secure way is to use an IAM role. You just attach the role to the instance, and it magically gets the permissions it needs. No access keys floating around. But if your server is on-prem, it's not in AWS, so it can't use an IAM role. For that, you'll create a special IAM user and give the agent its access keys. It's a really important difference to get right for security.
Now, here's the good news. Whether you're using a role for EC2 or a user for on-prem, the magic key is the same. It's this pre-built IAM policy called CloudWatch Agent Server Policy. AWS already made it for us, which is awesome. You just find it and attach it, and boom, it gives the agent exactly the permissions it needs to do its job. Super easy. The other piece of the puzzle is networking. I mean, the agent has to be able to phone home to AWS, right? So if your server is in a public subnet with an internet gateway, you're golden. If it's in a private subnet, you'll need something like a NAT gateway, so it can still talk to the outside world. And for those of you with really tight security, you can use VPC endpoints. That creates a totally private connection to the AWS services, so the traffic never even touches the public internet. Okay, permissions are sorted, networking is sorted, the groundwork is done. Now for the fun part, let's get this agent installed and running. Look, it really boils down to just 4 simple steps. We already talked about step 1, getting the permissions right. After that, you just download the software package for your OS, create a little config file that tells the agent what you want it to watch, and then you start it up. That's it. It's really not complicated at all. And don't worry about compatibility. When I say download the package, chances are they've got one for you. This thing runs everywhere. All the major flavors of Linux, Windows, even macOS. And it supports both the classic x86 chips and the newer ARM64 architecture, like Graviton. So yeah, Whatever you're running, the agent is almost certainly ready for it.
You'll also get to pick the right tool for the job when it comes to how you install it. Just playing around on one server? The command line is perfect. But what if you have hundreds of EC2 instances? You're not going to do that manually. That's where something like AWS Systems Manager becomes your best friend. If you live and breathe infrastructure as code, you can just build it right into your CloudFormation templates. And for Kubernetes, well, there's a special EKS add-on that makes life super easy, and we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Everything we've talked about is great for traditional servers, but what about the modern world? What about containers? How does the CloudWatch agent fit into the world of Kubernetes?
Yeah, exactly. What about Kubernetes? How do we get that same awesome, deep visibility when our apps are running as pods inside an Amazon EKS cluster? Well, AWS has made this incredibly simple with something called the EKS Observability Add-on. Think of it as a pre-packaged solution. It bundles our friend the CloudWatch agent for all the metrics and traces, but it also includes another tool called FluentBit, which is purpose-built for collecting logs in a container environment. The moment you flip this on, you unlock amazing features like container insights and application signals. It just gives you this phenomenal deep dive view into what's happening in your cluster and your apps. Permissions in Kubernetes can be tricky, but you've got a few ways to handle it. The old way was to just give permissions to the whole worker node, but that's way too broad and not very secure. A much better way is something called IRSA, or IAM roles for service accounts. But today, the new hotness and the recommended best practice is EKS pod identity. It's a much cleaner way to give very specific, least privileged permissions only to the pods that need them. For security, that's exactly what you want. So let's bring it all home. What's the big takeaway? The CloudWatch agent is your single source of truth. It's one unified tool that gives you that deep, granular visibility you need, and it works everywhere. EC2, your own on-prem servers, and even in your modern EKS clusters. And that really leaves just one question for you. Once you install this, once you stop guessing and you finally have the data to see everything that's happening inside your systems, what are you going to find? What performance gains are hiding in there? What weird intermittent bug will you finally be able to squash? That's the exciting part.